هجدف وي بوليسي يغير وي هجدف كغير كفل له ناتنا عاوم درس لزخنا عاوم زلهم هاجرات كحجزنا بزح تنقصاسنا هنا صار غيرنا هنا قطعم خوينا امريكا توسنه حجزونا
ناي ويانه كنبرلو زخيل بوليتيكاو بايتا كمزي لو طراي زرغاغطلنا تمدنواي ناي قدين كمزي ادمه زنوح زلو وي بليጫታ ዝረክብ ዘሎ መስለ ኸውን ወያነ መወዳእታ ግን እዚ ጉዳይ ዝምፍትሑ ስለ ዘይተርፎ ኣብዚ ተፈትሐሉ እዋን ዶብ ተመልኪቱ ሰላም ኣብ ዝመጻሉ እዋን ወያነ ኢትዮጵያ ክነብር ኣይኽእል ወያነ ምናልባት መልክዕ ክይር ይኽእል ኸውን ናይ ትግራይ ናጽነት ናይ ትግራይ መሰር ሰው ውሳኔ ናይ ትግራይ ከምዚ ዝብል ነይሩ ግልብጥ ኢሉ ኣናዊን ካብቶም ኢትዮጵያውያን ዝበሃሉ ዝያዳ ኢትዮጵያዊ ምሳኻትኩም ኣለኹ ከምዚ ኢሉ ክዛረብ ይኽእል ኸውን ሓድሽ قربت حدش حبري حدش أقرارباتات كمسيهلهم ويانا بنا قدم التحساسون كايدون بزي حجي نريو زلنا كايدان اب إثيوبيا نور بوليتيكاو معباليتات مسيو كهلو يو إلكا حسب أي كألن زي حجي نالواش نتخالد تغسكايو اب إثيوبيا زلو بوليتيكاو معباليتات ناي بهيرات ناي اتنيتات مكففالات مسؤول تأساسره تكالات أوجت زحلف 13 عامات زرعنا يوم عباليتات الرجاجو نجر انتليو ويانا كم ويانا أب مسائي بوليتيكانا إثيوبيا أدل يقولون بازي الخطوة خيل بازي جزية خطوة خناوحي في التين خون بازي خدنا قرد دل خون عالمنا يزوام كنتات جزياوي هالكن جزياوي روحاتات كتقوملو يفتن قال عواتك ركز في الخون أمود أتاجن ويانا أبنور بوليتيكاو معباليتاتنا إثيوبيا بوتا يقولون.
حجزونا.
Mr. Prime Minister, so on. You're very welcome. Thank you, Mr. President. We are all here very glad that we've been welcomed to Washington. A moment ago, you said that we are engaged in the first war of the 21st century. We believe that the war against terrorism is a war against people who have not caught up with the 21st century, who have values and ideals that are contrary to the values of the 21st century.
ምጽወታን ካወኒልና ኣብ እግሪ ዝኾነ ይኹን ወገን ኣይንምርከኽን ንሕና ነፍስና ክንመስል እምበር መተካእታ ናይ ዝኾነ ወገን ክንመስል ኣይን
conscripted labor working in your mind.
Are great at warmongering. We seem to be the most adept country in the world at it, as a matter of fact, which just defies the fact we're supposed to be a democracy and care about things like human rights and such. But in Bush's administration, George W. Bush, I figured that out by 2004 at least. Dumb me, it took a while. We don't give a damn about any of those things. We use those things as sugarcoating. We use those things for both international audiences and our own domestic audience as sugarcoating. We don't care about freedom. We don't care about democracy. What we care about is power and money, money and power. That sums up America today. And that sums up what our war instrument is for, including nuclear weapons. It's a sad commentary, and yet it is a true commentary. And I'll argue with anyone that wants to argue about it till the cows come home that that's our purpose today. War is a profitable business, and we are in profits. That's why we're selling weapons. That's why we're doing what we're doing in Ukraine. And anyone who tries to assign any other reason to it is just simply nuts. That's what's happening. And the sad thing about it is we have now drugged essentially 700 million plus Europeans into it, who will figure it out sooner or later, and then we're going to have a breach. And let's see the world divided into the European Union, trying to get its political act together, China, the United States, India trying to figure which one to go to at any pivot point and make a quarter of the world's population, if you will. And that's going to be it. Multipolar world par excellence, and we're going to be sucking the rear end of that world about 90% of the time if we don't stop and get our act together, not to mention the fact that climate change is going to eat our lunch. It is already eating our lunch. I've just come back from out west. You want to walk down a street where there's nothing but smoke all the time? Ask New Yorkers from the smoke coming down from Canada. Ask people who are looking at water situations that are simply existential for them and fighting with other states out west, trying to figure out who's going to get the water that's. We are great at.
Thank you very much. What we've been hearing is how the system actually works right now. And I want to emphasize we have a world food system. It's based on large multinational companies. It's based on private profits. It's based on a very, very low measure of international transfers to help poor people, sometimes none at all. It's based on extreme irresponsibility of powerful countries with regard to the environment. And it's based on a radical denial of rights of poor people, as we just heard. It's interesting, we heard from the Minister of DRC, what's wrong with your country? Well, we don't even start by saying the King of Belgium created a slave colony for 30 years. The government of Belgium ran the slave colony for another 40 years. The CIA assassinated your first popular leader, Mr. Lumumba, and then installed another dictatorship for the next 30 years. And then Glencore and others now suck out your cobalt without giving you tax income. We don't reflect on that. We say, what's wrong with you? Why don't you govern properly? And so we have a system, but we need a different system. We cannot turn this over to the private sector. We already did about 100 years ago. So we have a system, but we need a different system. And the different system has to be based on principles of human dignity in the Universal Declaration, principles of sovereignty, principles of economic rights. And what the governments should do is the following. They won't, but they should. First, the G20 should become the G21 by inviting systemically the chairperson of the African Union and the African Union to be the 21st country. The European Union is a member of the G20 as the EU. If you add the AU as the 21st for the G21, you add 1.4 billion people to representation at that crucial event. That will change decisively the discussion because 1.4 billion people are not at the table for finance right now, and they need to be. So my first recommendation is the G21. I love the G20. Add one seat, 1.4 billion people with the AU represented.
I think this notion of international rules is very comfortable for some people to use when it suits them, but they don't believe in international rules when it doesn't suit them because they don't apply international rules or law equally in all circumstances. So you can't say because Ukraine has been invaded that suddenly sovereignty is important, but it was never important for Palestine. It's very peculiar. If you believe in international law truly, then wherever sovereignty is infringed, it must apply. And this is the point we've been making, that we use the framework of international law unequally, depending on who is affected. And we are arguing that that must change. And one of the interesting changes that has occurred is the sudden movement, because Russia has invaded Ukraine, that we say, okay, let's not allow the Security Council to just have the veto and let it pass. We take it to the General Assembly. When some of us had been calling for the General Assembly to have a greater say, we never enjoyed support. But suddenly today, see, that's where international law begins to mean nothing. Because for some, we see it as a cheating, and for others, we see it as a benefit. So our argument is let's revise the international multilateral system to ensure that we observe that post-1948 has arrived.
What is the revision that you're looking for?
Well, it should be more representative, more democratic. If we retain the Security Council, regions that are not represented, they must have a space. And I think the move for the General Assembly to have a greater say is an important one. And it should be for everybody, not one country. So already the signs are there. Let's really ensure that we make these changes, which several countries have been calling for many, many years. We're now 54 independent African countries that are members of the African Union. We have 3 rotating non-permanent members that are elected every few years to the Security Council. I mean, what is that? So I really think we've got to rethink the multilateral system, ensure it's more fair, more open, transparent, and democratic.
What Brzezinski wrote was that America's faced with a possibility of not being able to rule the world unilaterally. And that would be a disaster for democracy. That we can't let any country's economic ability to be self-sufficient means potential military power. And in order to prevent any country from threatening America militarily, you have to prevent it from developing economically. The American nightmare, Brzezinski wrote, was that Russia would get together with Germany and with Western Europe, creating Russian raw materials, German industry, and somehow, finally, Russia would become westernized. America, under Brzezinski's strategy, said this would be a disaster because if Russia's westernized, if it becomes democratic, if Europe and Russia are prosperous, then we cannot control them anymore, and they will have no reason to be NATO. We've got to stop Russia, and the place to stop this Russian-European conglomeration is to split it right at the border down Ukraine. Let's do in Ukraine what we did in Afghanistan. Let's back the crazies. Well, most of them are the former neo-Nazi groups that have been so prominent that fly the Nazi flags.
الأمن والاستقرار يأتي من خلال حسم الصراع العربي الإسرائيلي وإيجاد حل للقضية الفلسطينية. نحن لا نرى أن محاربة إسرائيل حتوجد حل لهذه المشكلة. الحرب اللي ما لها نهاية حتجيب دمار لهذه المنطقة، وعايزين نعمل مع إخواننا العرب وشقائنا في المنطقة لإيجاد حل لهذه المسألة، وما حنعادي إسرائيل ولا لنا مصلحة في معاداة إسرائيل، بالعكس عايزين نعمل باتجاه بناء مع التزامنا بمسائل أساسية في إيجاد حل سلمي عادل للقضية الفلسطينية في الشرق فيها الأمن والاستقرار. الأمن والاستقرار يأتي من خلال حسم الصراع العربي الإسرائيلي وإيجاد حل للقضية الفلسطينية. نحن لا نرى أن محاربة إسرائيل حتوجد حل لهذه المشكلة.
كم ملك جمرو بايل سلاسي ألفو درجة ما اسم الله سيال سلون ودب ابنة ولدته يودب قدان يتبع يتولد ياكي النار قالن بلا تشون يسكن متأشوت لمن ودب كمتا عندالاشوت بسلام يمتاك هنا بنيار لم يوصنوا بنيار يتولد ياكي بمارغر لم يملسوا بيرترا حزب في الله بوتم يوصنوا سلام كونا ስለዚህ የኤርትራ ህዝብ ራሱ ወስኖ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ እየመጣ ያለ እድገት ለውጥ ይበልጥ መጠቀም አለብኝ ስለዚህ ኤርትራም ኢትዮጵያም በጋራ ማደግ እንዲችሉ እንፍጠር ካለ የሚወሰነው እኛ የትል ጥያቄ ያለብን ብለን ስላራገብ ነው አካኪ ዘራፍ ስላለን ሳይሆን የኤርትራ ህዝብ መጠቀም አለኝ ብሎ ነው የሚወስነው ስለዚህ ይሄን መተር ያለብን ለኤርትራ ህዝብ አይደለም ወይ የትል ጥያቄ ወደ ብናረጋለን ብላችሁ ከምታራገቡት ለምን ደህንነታችን ነው ጠላታችን እሱ ላይ እንዝመታትሉም በተጨባጭ እንዳስቀመጥ ነው አሰብም ምጽዋም ከኛ ጋር በነበሩ ሰዓት ቁልቁል እየወረድን ነበር ለንፈጣፈጥ አንድ አሙስ ይቀረን ነው ይዳን ነው አሰብና ወደብ ከኛ ጋር ባልነበሩበት ሰዓት ነው ሽቅብ እየወጣን ያለ ነው ስለዚህ ወደብ ቢኖረን ይጠቅመናል ወደብ ግን የእድገታችን ዋነኛው ምንጭ አይደለም የእድገት ዋነኛው ምንጭ የህዝባችን አቅም ልማት አስተሳሰብና ፖሊሲ ነው ይሄ ነው በዚህ ምክንያት
ያለፉት ስርዓቶች ወደ ውጭ ይመለከቱ ከነበሩበት ቀይረን ወደ ውስጣችን እንመልከት። ዛሬ እናንተ ከምኒልክ ጀምሮ በኃይለ ሥላሴ አልፎ ደርግ ማስመለስ ያልቻለውን ወደብ እብነቱ ልደቱ የወደብ ጉዳይን የኢትዮጵያ የትውልድ ጥያቄ እናረጋለን ብላችሁን ያስቀምጣችሁ
I think it's fair to say that since the end of World War II, and increasingly in the most recent decades, we have managed to create the world's first truly global empire. And it's the first empire that's been created primarily without the military. It's been created by economic hitmen, by people like what I once was. And we work many different ways, economic hitmen, but perhaps the most common is that we will identify a third world country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, and then arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. But the money never goes to the country. Instead, it goes to our big corporations to build infrastructure projects, power plants, highways, industrial parks, things that benefit a few very rich people in that country, as well as our own corporations, but don't help the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity, don't have the skills to get jobs in industrial parks, don't own cars to drive on the highways. And yet those very people, the whole country is left holding a huge debt so that it can't pay for education and social services and health care for its people. In fact, the debt is so huge by intent that at some point we economic hitmen go back and we say, listen, you owe us a lot of money. You can't repay your debts, so sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies without regard to the environment. Vote with us on the next critical United Nations vote. Send troops in support of ours to some place in the world like Iraq. And in that way, we've created this empire. On the few times when we economic hitmen fail, as I talk about in the books, as I failed in Ecuador with Jaime Roldos and in Panama with Omar Torrijos, then the jackals go in. And these are men, maybe a few women, who overthrow governments or assassinate their leaders. So if I'm unable to bring them around, if the economic hitman is unable to bring them around through legal means, what we do is we use legal means through the World Bank, but it's basically corrupting the leaders of these countries. If we're unable to corrupt them, then the jackals go in and take care of them. So when I failed with Jaime Roldos in Ecuador and Omar Torrijos in Panama, the jackals assassinated them. And if the jackals fail, which is what happened in Iraq, both the economic hitmen and the jackals failed with Saddam Hussein, then, and only then, does the military go in. So this is the first empire in the history of the world that's been created primarily without the military only as a last resort. And I think there's something extremely dangerous about this. It's not just that it's pathetic, it's not just that it goes against all of our most sacred documents. It's extremely dangerous because we claim to be a democracy. And a democracy is built on the assumption that the electorate is informed. And if the electorate doesn't realize what we're doing internationally, if the electorate doesn't understand the main basis of our foreign policy, which is what I've just described, then the electorate is not informed and therefore cannot vote intelligently. And therefore you even have to question whether we're truly a democracy.
ثمانيان حدن عمد مليء
كابزياتن مزند حروت سسان سلستن عمد لا يناصنا تحليفين عسران تشعتن او يشتهاجر كوينه وي ابو يشتهاجر كلغو 34 كا اب سدت كوينه هررتنا صنت كسمعني زجمره اب شهن شعتميتن عسران سلستن ابتا اب اسمرا تمرت زجمر كلها عمد كم زنبره اصبيقو تزيبلني هو مناصنت ويس حرنت بخلو عقمي بخلو ساعتي بخلو فقادي لعل ساعمت دليا قدم اب ايثيوبيان اب ارتران بحر اب هجرات عرب اب بزحات هجرات افريقيا اب اوروبا اب امريكا هالو بلانيره بناخي ارخبكوان انولو مغنا اموداتا امبل 82 عمت عدمي امبل 63 عمت مدلايي ناصنت زرخ يسمع عنه ناصنت بدك ኤርትራ بቋንቋ ትግርኛ ወይስ ዓረብ ናጽነት ተባሂሉ ይጽዋዕ እንተዳ ኮይኑ እኹል እዩ ናጽነት ምን ትኸውንሲ بቋንቋ ወጻእተኛታት መንግስታት ፍሪደም ወይ ሊበርታ እቸተራ ተባሂሉ ክጽዋዕ ዘድልዮ ኣይኮነን ርዕሰ ነገር ናይ ናጽነት ህላዌ ወይ ዘይህላዌ እዩ ህላዌ እዩ ካብ ተረጋገጸ ወጻእተኛታት ምምራቁ ዘይምራቁ بحق ጫሌዳ ነገር ወይ ስጓል ነገር እዩ ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ባዕሉ ብገዛ ቅልጽሙ እዩ ዘውዲ ደፊኡ ዝርከብ ዘሎ እግዚአብሔር ካባሪ ሁሉ እሞ ነዛ ዘውዲ እዚኣ ዝስትንክያ ወይሉ
ኣብ ታሪኽ ተዛዕበየ ፀገም ህዝብታት ተዓሻሸው እዮም ደይናቶም ታሪኽ ጽሕፉ ኢትዮጵያ 3000 ዓመት ታሪኽ እምብኑ 3000 ብሄን ክመጽሞ ولا 3000 ዓመት ጌርና ከም ሃገር ተበልካኸ ክሳዕ ሕጂ በይጸኒሕካ ድብለካ ኣይትረክብና ክንዝ ኣክል ትኽነት ክንዝ ኣክል ድሕረት ሒስካስ 3000 ስንታ ክትገብር ጸኒሕካ ድብል የለን እዩ ግን ነቲ ጽጽዋይ ስለ ዝውስኾ ተኸላይ ጽጽዋይ ስለ ዝውስኾ ኣብ መወዳእታ እዚ ሓደ ርእሱ ዝኸኣለ ዓብ ፀገም ታሪኽ ናይ ሃገራት ጽጽዋይ ወዝሕ ሓቂ እዩ ገድሊ ክትወፅእ ከለኻ ድርሲ ሓመድ ኣቶ ውጋእ ኣትዩ ጥይትካ ኣይቆትሎን እዩ ብልዕኻ ኣይበልዑን እዮም ከክንዚኣ ዝኾና ኣለዋ ከኒናታት ንዕን በሊዕም ትኸዱ እዞም ሰብ ኣይኮኑን ማለት እዚኦም ከኒና ጥይትካ ዘይወግኦም እዩ እዚ ኩላትና ከም ተምሃሮ ንኣምኖ ነርና ኢና ንሃገራዊ ቃስና ከዓ ሓጊዝና ይፅቡቕ እዩ ኩላትና ኣቲና ጥይት ግን ጥይት እዩ መወዳእታት ናይ ብሓቂ እንዳተረዳእካ ኢኻ ትኸይድ እምበር በቲ ትበሃሎ እንድሕር በቲ ሚት ወይ ከዓ ፅፅዋይ ክትከይድ ኮንካ ጥፋኣት እዩ ሃገራት መጀመርያ ክግደሳሉ ዝግበአን ሓቀኛ ታሪኽ እዩ ተሓቂ እንታ ደላታ ሓቂ ተሓቂ ክትገልፆ ፀጋሚ ይኹሉ ሳዕ ግን ናብ ሓቂ ኣዝዩ ዝቐረበ ክኾነልካ ትምነ ማለት እዩ እምበር ኣብ ታሪኽ ናይ ሃገራት ፅፅዋይ ብዙሕ እዩ
Also understand, interestingly, I mean, you were probably at the department when the so-called natural famine in Ethiopia occurred, leading to Live Aid. Eritrea now has full food security. Why is it that a country which is closed off like that has full food security, or say a country
I think it's a country that doesn't have conflict going on. I mean, again, look, this is. I don't think this is autarky is necessarily the answer. Autarky works very well as long as you're having yields that you're producing enough to feed your population. Unfortunately, a lot of these areas are also in areas with highly variable rainfall, highly variable yields, and the fact is they have when they have big droughts or production shortfalls, they need to import, and they need assurances.
Well, Eritrea doesn't.
There is available,
as far as I know. And why don't they also understand? Interestingly, I mean, you were probably at the department when the so-called natural famine in Ethiopia occurred.
These billions coming to this continent from anywhere, Europe, Americas, or any other place. You are inviting intervention in your own affairs. And this money coming from there, billions and billions, will be siphoned back there. Make sure that you mobilize your own resources so that you can be enabled to benefit from resources coming from outside. The promises of billions is no good. Yeah.
ኣብ 91 ክሳብ 93 ኣብ ዝተኻየደ ቃልሲ ናይ ረፈረንዱም ኣብ ተፈላለየ መጋባእያታት አንጻር ናይ አጽናጽነት ናይ ኤርትራ ደው ኢሉ ዝምጉት ዝነበረ ብጀካ መንግስቲ ግብጺ ካለ ኣሎ ኢልካ ክዝረቡ ይናይካለኒ ስለምንታይ ብዙሕ ታሪኻዊ ምኽንያታት ኣለዎ ናይ ግብጺ ደገፍ ናይ ኤርትራ ወይ ደገፍ እንተደኣ ነይሩ ኮይኑ ንኤርትራ ከም ሞጓጠይ ንኢትዮጵያ ቅሳነት መኽልኢ መሳርሒ እምበር ኤርትራ ናጽነታ ክትረክብሞ ልኡላውነት አረጋጊጻ ክትነብር ትኽእላ ዝብል ሓሳብ ኣይነበረን ሓደ ካብ ዓቢ ስትራቴጂያዊ ጸገም ግብጺ ናይ ኒል ማይ ኣብዚ ማያት ዝህልሙ ቁጽጻር ናይ ግብጺ ብዘይካ ብዘይ ምርግጋ ናይተን ኣብ ውሽጢ ማይ ዝብገሰሉ ቦታ ዘሎ ሃገራት ክመጻ ይኽእልኒ ዝብል እምነት ነይርዎም እዚ ኣሉታዊ ጠማምታ ዝኸመይ ገይሩ ማዕቢሉ ኣብ ናይ ግብጺ ፖለቲከኛታት ናቱ ታሪኽ ኣለዎ ካልእ ስትራቴጂያዊ ጠማምታ ናይ ግብጺ ዝበሃል ናይ ቀይሕ ባሕሪ ሕቶ እዩ ቀይሕ ባሕርን ምቁጽጻር ናይ ቀይሕ ባሕርን መን ቀይሕ ባሕሪ ተቆጻጸረ ዝዓይነቱ ኣጠማምታ ነይሩ ንነዊሕ ግዜ ከም ኣከራኻሪ ጉዳይ ኮይኑ ዝጸንሐ ነዞም ክልተ ግምታት እዚኣቶም የርብሑና እዮም ኢሎም ስለ ዝሓስቡ ብዙሓት ፖለቲከኛታት ኣብዚ ከባቢ ምርግጋእ ከይህሉ ንሰውራ ኤርትራ ናይ ብሓቂ ደገፍ መሃብ ዘይኮነ ከም መሳርሒ ክጥቀመሉ ምፍታን ነንበይኖም መልክዓት ዝሓዙ ዝምድናታት ክምዕብሉ ጸኒሖም ኣብ መወዳእታ ግን ኣብ ግዜ ረፈረንዱም ተጋሂዱ ኤርትራ ናጻ ክትከውን የብላን ተባሂሉ ስለምንታይ ኤርትራ ናጻ እንድሕር ኮይና ኣብ ኣፍሪቃ ምምቕቓል ክስዕብ እዩ ዘይምርግጋእ ጠንቂ ክኸውን እዩ ንኻልኦት ሕማቕ ኣብነት ክኸውን እናተባሃለ ብዙሕ ተጻውኦታት ገጢሙና ብዝኾነ ክሳብ ረፈረንዱም ንበጽሕ ተጋጢምና ሓሊፍናዮ ከይዱ ድሕሪኡ ኣብዚ ከባቢ ኣብ መንጎ ዝተፈላለየ ሃገራት ዘሎ ዝምድናታት ብፍላይ ኣብ መንጎ ኤርትራን ኢትዮጵያን ዘሎ ዝምድና ብጽቡቕ እናማዕበለ ክኸይድ ምርኣዮም ንብዙሓት ፖለቲከኛታት ግብጺ ደስ ኣየበሎም ካብኡ ሓሊፉ ኣብ መንጎ ዞባ ቀርኒ ኣፍሪቃ ብተን መንጎ ዝተፈላለየ ሃገራት ዝምዕብል ዘሎ ዝምድና ባህ ኣየበሎም እዚ እውን ኣብ ነንበይኖም ኣጋጣሚታት ብጋህዲ ዝዛረብሉ ጉዳይ ንሕና እዚ ይኹን እቲ ናታቶም ኣተሓሳስባ ብዘየገድስ መስመርና ሒዝና ዝምልከተና ጉዳይ እናስራሕና ክንጓዓዝ ጸኒሕና
የሚያሳዝነኝ ነገር ቢኖር ሰላም ማጣታችን ነው
But of course, the most lamentable thing in this is that something I regret very much that we did not have peace.
አያቶቼ ሰላም አልነበራቸውም
My grandparents did not know peace.
አባቴ ሰላምን አያውቅም
My father did not know peace in this country.
እኔ ሰላምን አላውቅም
And I don't know peace.
ምናልባት ልጄም
And who knows, my child or my children also will never experience peace in our and I'm very sorry about that.
የሚያሳዝነኝ ነገር ቢኖር ሰላም ማጣታችን ነው
But of course, the most lamentable thing in this is that something I regret very much that we did not have peace.
አያቶቼ ሰላም አልነበራቸውም
My grandparents did not know peace.
አባቴ ሰላምን አያውቅም
My father did not know peace in this country.
እኔ ሰላምን አላውቅም
And I don't know peace.
ምናልባት ልጄም
And who knows, my child or my children also will never experience peace in our and I'm very sorry about that.
የሚያሳዝነኝ ነገር
In my little handout here, Eritrea gained its independence in 1993.
Formally.
Yeah. From Ethiopia.
Not from Ethiopia. Not from Ethiopia.
All right.
Okay.
I would like to understand. What it is that seems to have altered the stance of the Ethiopian government towards Eritrea.
It happened that we've been discussing this matter a few minutes ago. I mean, number one, Eritrea did not get its independence from Ethiopia at all. I mean, we had our just cause. We fought for a long time, for almost 3 decades, probably half a century.
And when 91 came, we said, we're postponing the unilateral declaration of independence to go through a legitimate political process to assure the international community and be assured that we have exercised this right through a referendum. Then people were saying, well, a referendum could be expedited if the Ethiopian government agrees to the referendum process. We said no, not at all. We are not asking for the blessing of the Ethiopian government or anybody else for that matter. We would like to exercise this right through a referendum, and we would like the international community to come help us organize and witness the desire or the wish of our population. No one was invited to offer Eritrea independence in a silver platter, not at all. We rejected that all the way. We waited for 2 years after 1991, 1993, a referendum, fair and free choice of the population was expressed through that referendum. We got our independence. No one gave us our independence. We did not get our independence from anyone, not Ethiopia, not Somalia, not Sudan, or even the international community. The international community was there to witness an exercise of free choice of the Eritrean people.
የኤርትራን ህዝብ አንበረክካለኝ ይልካለ መንገዱን ጨርቅ ያርግለት እኛ በዚህ ጨዋታ ውስጥ የለንም ጊዜ የተነገረ ነገር ነው ከኛ በላይ የሚያውቀው ነገር ስለ ወንድማማችነታችን ከኛ በላይ የሚያውቃለ ሌላ ጉዳይ በሰላም ይፈታ ምክክር ይደረግ ወዘተ ወዘተ ደርግ ራሱ እቺን አረተ ነገር ስንት ሺህ ጊዜ እንደተናገራት ሁላችንም እናውቃለን ዞሮ ዞሮ የምትጠመጠምበት አንድ ጥያቄ ነች የመጨረሻው ውሳኔ ማን ነው እዚህ ላይ ነው የሚንጠለጠለው ነገር የመጨረሻው ውሳኔ ኤርትራ ህዝብ ነው ወይስ አይደለም እዛ ላይ ነው ጥያቄው የመጨረሻው ውሳኔ ኤርትራ ህዝብ ነው ብለን ከተቀበልን በመብት ላይ የተመሰረተ ሰላም እናገኛለን በዲሞክራሲ ላይ የተመሰረተ ሰላም እናገኛለን በጭቆና ላይ የተመሰረተ ሰላም ከተፈጠረም ለጥቂት ጊዜ ብቻ የሚቆይ ነው በመብት ላይ የተመሰረተ ሰላም ዘላቂ ሰላም ማግኘት ከፈለግን የመጨረሻው ውሳኔ የኤርትራ ህዝብ ነው ኤርትራ መሬቷን እንጂ ህዝቧን አንፈልግም የሚለው አሰራር የት እንዳደረሰ እናውቃለን የት እንደደረሰ ከመሬት ውጪ ከህዝብ ውጪ መሬት የለም ፋይዳ የለውም የመጨረሻው ውሳኔ የህዝቡ ነው ብለን እስከምን ድረስ ሰላም አቅጣጫን ተመልክተናል ማለት ነው እኛ የግድ ሁሉም ሰው የሰላም አቅጣጫ መከተል አለበት ብለን አንል እኛ ጦርነትን በቴሌቪዥን አይደለም የምናውቀው እኛ ጦርነትን በወሬ አይደለም የምናውቀው እኛ ጦርነትን በተቃጠሉ ቤቶች ነው የምናውቀው ባለቀ ህዝብ ነው የምናውቀው በተጨፈጨፈ ወጣት ነው የምናውቀው ከእንግዲህ ወዲያ እዋጋለሁ የሚል ካለ መንገዱን ጨርቅ ያርግለት እኛ እንዋጋም በቅቶናል ስልችቶናል መሮናል ለምን የሰላም መንገድ አልተከተላችሁም ብለን እኛ በማንም ላይ ምንጭነው ነገር የለም የኤርትራን ህዝብ አንበረክካለኝ የሚል ካለ መንገዱን ጨርቅ ያርግለት እኛ በዚህ ጨዋታ ውስጥ የለንም
ዕላማ አለና ሃገርና ሀብታም ሃገርና ዝርህዋ ሃገርና ሀብና ረዲኤት ልማኖ ናጻ ኮይና ብነፍሳት ተሓድረሉ ሃገርና ልምዕት ትኾነሉ ከም ሰብ ከም ህዝቢ ርእስና ልዕልና ነብረሉ ለሚና እኽሊ ይኹን ካልእ ሓገዝ እናሓተትና ነብረሉ ኩነታት ተጋላጊልና ርእስና ኽኢልና ክንነብረሉ ንኽእል ናይ ረሃዋን ናይ ቅሳነትን ዘመን ክመጽእ ዕላማና ስለ ዝኾነ ናጽነት ስለ ዝመጸ ኸዓ እዚ ነገር ዝተወዲኡ ማና ካብ ሰማይ ወርደልና ኣሎ ወይ ኣብ ገነት ንሰፍር ኣለና ኢልና ስለዘይ ንሓስብ ነዚ ተጨባጥን ምግባሩን ክንሰርሕን ክንቃለስን ስለ ዘለና ሃገራዊ ዕላማ ኣሎና ኣብዚ ሃገር እዚ ብዝተፈላለየ ምኽንያታት ኣብ ብደገ
immediately after that, 1 year or maybe 2 years, a World Bank delegation was here. And they said they would like to write us a country program. A country program inclusive of development programs, health, education, infrastructure, water, energy, what have you. And we said, why can't we write our program? They said, that is a norm. No one in Africa has written a country program. The World Bank has the authority and it writes the program of everybody else. How can the World Bank know my needs in my house, in my country?
بحالو كمتي كلاتنا نفلتو هاسي منيلك كم زجيروم هاسي منيلك بيت مرتقفيتهم منيلك تمرت بيت بحال كاب تقدم دمسيو هاسي منيلك ماكينة مسيوم نيروم ترجع سريح نيروم كله إذا منيلك إذا حدا مسكيني أبدي على قيح بحري قيح بحري معاشي سويس تقفيتو ها شحين شمون تميتن سان ساعتين دي تقفيتو هاسي منيلك سويس كم تخفتو ونا يفولتني ما بيهم تقدر نيروم ندوبو هذا خدانا ينورم مبزحته زبال أرسد بحال دلو قوم قوفاد بحال دلو كدان يقولون ساحج خدان يقولون كدان ده يقولوا سيف كثير نحرق كين كخسل أبز مريزي خط خيد أبز القوم قوفا بي أبز خط خيد أكشان فوتهم إنش أيت تقومتوا أبز نوم كديدهم أبز قفح إنش أيت تقبروا كدان ده يقولون تقومتوا ساحجي أبز قوم قوفاتاتي زغنا سعدها فلي نجار كرئيس لدلي كراباتها دلو وحدهم بزحلو وزهم كدان ده يقولون كيك كحسل تدليها أبى بارك دلو أبز القوم قفاي هسه من اللي كيح بحر غيدهم أفدق خن بحس بذا جيبوتي ده بذا إرترا أبى يوم تقدرين أنا هسه من اللي كابزهم كدان دي بلوم كدان يبلوم قلي بلوم جم وين هسه من اللي كلبام يوم بحاله شحن شو منتبه تنسان شعت الناس أدوس زتخفته كان سويز هسه من اللي كان نحردا شحن شعت ميتين 10 شديد سنيحهم كوينهم بهوتهم تواجاي كان نحرني رمو نزغل وتازحيزهم هسه من اللي كميلة تفياتهم بحر محز أنا لو زي أمون تاي بزعان تاعهم زارو دلهم إذا إثيوبيا بوليتيكان ببروباغندا نفوت خالي إثيوبيا بجبر بحقي أبتاريخنا أتوقع تاي مثلا تحركها كم زين هسه من اللي كي لبام بحالو خمس بحالو لبام تدخل نظام سو أيجوم نزل شجرنا يتهاجر قدم فتحهم مغدو أفدقنا بحري قررنايو معنت أنايو كابزخا ودبات إرتراقي كفلتي هتحلفون إيرا كم دلها باسعدها بعسب سلام دلو كم دنا جيبوتي 10 ساعة بومبان دا تهرم كات خود يكونن هسه من الليك لبام يمد بحالو
በድጋሚ ስለመጣችሁ ያመሰገንኩ የኢትዮጵያ ባህር ኃይል ወደ 35 ዓመታት ታሪክ ያለው በአፍሪካ ስመጥር ባህር ኃይል እንደነበረ የተለያዩ ጽሁፎች ያስነብባሉና እስቲ ከናንተ ደሞ እንስማ ያው የትላንቱን ታሪክ ካላነሳን የዛሬውን ማንሳት ማወቅ አንችልምና ምን ነበረ የኢትዮጵያ ባህር ኃይል ከየት ተነስቶ የት ደረሰ የሚለውን እስቲ ታሪኩን እናንሳ ሌተናንት
ሲኒየር ቢጀምራሽ ችግር ይቀጥላል ግሪል መጀመሪያ አመሰግናለሁ ኢቲቪ እንደዚህ አይነት ታሪካዊ ውይይት ላይ ተገኝተን የነበረውን እውነት እንድንናገር እንድንመሰክር ያው ሁሌ መነሻችንን ማወቅ አለብን መነሻችንን ካላወቅን ብዙ ጊዜ መድረሻችንን አናቅም እንላለንና እንደ ባህረኛ ኢትዮጵያ ባህር ኃይል በወቅቱ እንግዲህ መጨረሻው የኢትዮጵያ ንጉስ የነበሩት አጼ ኃይለ ሥላሴ ጊዜ በነበረው በኢትዮጵያ ሉዓላዊነት በኢትዮጵያ አንድነት ላይ ተመስርተው ያቋቋሙት ናቸው ምክንያቱም ይሄ ታሪክ ነው እንደውም በ1948 እሳቸው ነበሩ በየትምህርት ቤቱ ሄደው መልምለው 1948 ጊዜ ያስገቧቸው አሁን በህይወት ያሉ የመጀመሪያዎቹ መኮንኖች ጃንሆይ እንደቀጠሯቸው እሳቸው እንደመለመሉ ታሪክ ይመሰክራል ማለት ነው
The 2 years our political work has mainly been stressed in abolishing all the tribal, religious and other backward sentiments in the fighters. And we have succeeded in raising the political consciousness of the fighters to a national level. And due to the present composition of our forces, there are some opportunistic, adventuristic tendencies. But we are doing our best to solve this problem by changing the social composition of our forces. That is, by increasing the number of workers and peasants and raising their ideological level to a higher degree. With their political vigilance tempered by a new and valuable experience, our fighters have emerged bolder to firmly face the arduous reality of national liberation struggle, and also with an unbending dedication to put the front's program into practice.
Women are not participating in our struggle for liberation. This is because society discourages women from doing political activities. But now, due to education, they have started to be members of our underground organizations, and some join the front.
الأمن والاستقرار يأتي من خلال حسم الصراع العربي الإسرائيلي وإيجاد حل للقضية الفلسطينية. نحن لا نرى أن محاربة إسرائيل حتوجد حل لهذه المشكلة. الحرب اللي ما لها نهاية حتجيب دمار لهذه المنطقة، وعايزين نعمل مع إخواننا العرب وشقائنا في المنطقة لإيجاد حل لهذه المسألة، وما حنعادي إسرائيل ولا لنا مصلحة في معاداة إسرائيل. بالعكس عايزين نعمل باتجاه بناء مع التزامنا بمسائل أساسية في إيجاد حل سلمي عادل للقضية الفلسطينية في الشرق فيها الأمن والاستقرار. الأمن والاستقرار يأتي من خلال حسم الصراع العربي الإسرائيلي وإيجاد حل للقضية الفلسطينية. نحن لا نرى أن محاربة إسرائيل حتوجد حل لهذه المشكلة.
كم ليك جمرو بايل سلاسي ألفو درجة ما اسم الله سيال سلون ودب ابنة ولدته የወደብ ጉዳይን የኢትዮጵያ የትውልድ ጥያቄ እናረጋለን ብላችሁ ነው ያስቀምጣችሁት። ለምን ወደብ ከመጣ እንዳላችሁት በሰላም ይመጣ ከሆነ በእኛ አይደለም የሚወሰነው፣ በእኛ የትውልድ ጥያቄ በማድረግ አይደለም የሚመለሰው፣ በኤርትራ ህዝብ ፍላጎት ነው የሚወሰነው ሰላም ከሆነ። ስለዚህ የኤርትራ ህዝብ ራሱ ወስኖ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ እየመጣ ያለ እድገት ለውጥ ይበልጥ መጠቀም አለብኝ፣ ስለዚህ ኤርትራም ኢትዮጵያም በጋራ ማደግ እንዲችሉ እንፍጠር ካለ የሚወሰነው እኛ የትውልድ ጥያቄ ያለብን ብለን ስላራገብ ነው አካኪ ዘራፍ ስላለን ሳይሆን የኤርትራ ህዝብ መጠቀም አለኝ ብሎ ነው የሚወስነው። ስለዚህ ይሄን መተር ያለብን ለኤርትራ ህዝብ አይደለም ወይ? የትውልድ ጥያቄ ወደብ እናረጋለን ብላችሁ ከምታራገቡት ለምን ደህንነታችን ነው ጠላታችን እሱ ላይ እንዝመት አትሉም? በተጨባጭ እንዳስቀመጥ ነው አሰብም ምጽዋም ከኛ ጋር በነበሩ ሰዓት ቁልቁል እየወረድን ነበር። ለንፈጣፈጥ አንድ አሙስ ይቀረን ነው ሄዳን ነው። አሰብና ወደብ ከኛ ጋር ባልነበሩበት ሰዓት ነው ሽቅብ እየወጣን ያለ ነው። ወደብ ቢኖረን ይጠቅመናል ወደብ ግን የእድገታችን ዋነኛው ምንጭ አይደለም የእድገት ዋነኛው ምንጭ የህዝባችን አቅም ልማት አስተሳሰብና ፖሊሲ ነው ይሄ ነው በዚህ ምክንያት ያለፉት ስርዓቶች ወደ ውጭ ይመለከቱ ከነበሩበት ቀይረን ወደ ውስጣችን እንመልከት ዛሬ እናንተ ከምልክ ጀምሮ በኃይለ ሥላሴ አልፎ ደርገጭ ማስመለስ ያልቻለውን ወደብ እብነት ወለደቱ የወደብ ጉዳይን የኢትዮጵያ የትውልድ ጥያቄ እናረጋለን ብላችሁን ያስቀምጣችሁ
We economic hitmen have managed to create the world's first truly global empire, and it's basically a secret empire. We do it many ways, but principally we identify a country that has resources our corporations covet, like oil, arrange a huge loan to that country from the World Bank or one of its sisters. The money never actually goes to the country, it goes to our own corporations to build big infrastructure projects in that country that help a few very wealthy people but don't benefit the majority of the people who are too poor to buy electricity or have cars to drive on the highways, and yet they're left holding a huge debt that they can't repay. So we go back at some point and say, you know, you can't pay your debts. Give us a pound of flesh, sell your oil real cheap to our oil companies, vote with us on the next critical UN vote, allow us to build a military base in your backyard, something along these lines. And when we fail, the jackals go in and either overthrow or assassinate these leaders. And if the jackals fail, as they did in Iraq, then we send in the military. I don't think the failure is capitalism. I think it's a specific kind of capitalism where we've developed, we've created what I consider a mutant viral form of capitalism. And this mutant form of capitalism, which I think is really a predatory form of capitalism, has created an extremely unstable, unsustainable, unjust, and very, very dangerous world. I've met a lot of terrorists. I've interviewed them for books. I've never met one who wanted to be a terrorist. They're desperate people. If we want to get rid of terrorism, we must get rid of the root causes, that cancer that is destroying our whole system. Because I think it's really important that we understand today we cannot have homeland security unless we understand that the whole planet is our homeland.
كيفلقلو بجاملة بروي ማንም ሚዲያ ናይ ዓለም ማንም መንግስት ናይ ዓለም መሲው ህዝቢ ይብዳል አለ ዝበለ የለም ሕርጊጎ ብጃምላ ከበር ከለ ሎሚ ጋህሲ ኮፍ ኢሉ ከለ መቃብሩ እኮ ጃምላ ዝበሃል ዝለ ይኮነ
አና በስገድና ሰላም ሰንበት
አብ መሳግድን ቤተክርስቲያንን ቲኻ ብሬናት መሳቁት ክሪሸስ ከለ ህዝብ እኮ ማን ተዛሪቡ በስግዲራ አድብሪም እዛ ወክድባ እዛ ጎረቤትና
ሰላም ሰንበት ካቁርደት መቃብሩ ኮፍ ኢሉ الله ገጀረት ኣብዚያ ከብድና ዘላ ዝባን ስንቀይ
እዚ ትማል ሽዕብ 400 ልዕሊኡን ዝኸውን ብታንክታት ከም ክጥሓን ከለ ዕጽምቱ ማንም ሎሚ ብመሰል ቀዳም ትጭድር ዘላ አሜሪካ ሓንቲ መዓልቱን ትኹን ሚዲያ ተዛሪባ ትፍለጥ ማንም ዌስተርን ካንት ህዝቢ ኤርትራ ክጭፍለቅ ከሎ ብጭቅ አይበለትን ሕኒኡ ግን ህዝባው ግንባር በዓል ፈዲቦ ተመስገን ገመቹ ህዝብ ሽዕብ ጨፋሊቁ ብታንክ ንኻል ተሎኾን ሽዕብ ንፋዕበክ ግስግስ ከሎ ኣብ ኣይተሪፉ ህዝብ ዘረስልስ መንግስት ሎ ሰውራ ጀሚሩ ክሳብ ሎም ዘለ ህዝባው ግንባር ይንበረሉን ህዝብ ኤርትራ ማንም መሰልና ዝካታዕልና ይንደልኒ መሰልና ዝካታ አካል ትማል ሽዕብ እኮ ባጽዕ እኮ ብቅብጻት ዝብል ሐቀኛ ታሪኻዊ ፊልም ኮለሰ
እንድሕር ኃይለ ሥላሴ ነፊዕን ኤርትራ ሓዊስዋ ነይሩ ትኻርታ መንግስቱ ከዓ አካይዱ ደይጣዕመ ኮይኑሞ እታ ኢትዮጵያ እታ ናይ ቀደማ ተመሊሳ ኣብ ኣርባዕታት ወያነ ከዛ ሕጂ ዘላ ኢትዮጵያ ኣበናይ ካርታ ይኽመልሳ እዚ ኣብ ናይ ምኒልክ ዳ ክትምለስ እዚ ኦሮሞ በይና እዚ መሓራ በይና እዚ ምድሪ ሓበሻ ኣበይ ክትከይድ እቲ ፖለቲካ ዕላማ ናቶም እዚ ንብሎ ዘለና እቲ ፖለቲካ ዕላማ ናይ ኃይለ ሥላሴ ናበይ ኣምርሒቡ ምሕያው ሰውራ ኤርትራ ፖለቲካ ዕላማ ናይ ደርግ ናበይ ኣምርሒቡ ናጽነት ኤርትራ ፖለቲካ ዕላማ ናይ ወያነ ካበይ ከምጽእ እንታይ ከምጽእ
يريلي حمدي ونس بحري عتمنيو نتاريخ زرس تاريخو يليو زي والعزقوس كيو مسلو نعشا خيو مسلو إنسي خزبس عمود كل يزلو عمون قلبو نوا عدي ملالو صفع كل دمي تحري تاريمي عمون قلبو نوا زخع كل دمك بحري نبينا تتمال نقول يا زرعة تتمال مكوحة زسقدة كي يمسلو مرحي وزخدة الله وقل الله تقلل الله أبغى الله مساء الله تتمال وحي زبحمك الله تتفعوا حرمز زسمما صلي مقيحو كيت المتا حاثير نويحو كيت المتون بقى خيري لي حمدي هو نهز بحري عطامنيو نتاريخ زرسف تايكوينيو بزيب العزق والسف كيو مسلو نعشا في مسلو إذا خزبس أما تقولي زلو همون قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري تاريمي همون قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري نايبينا يزو حسن الله أبزاري منا تورارسه الله يتنوس كل زينا أسه الله وقل الله تقلل الله أبغى الله مساء الله يتتمال زو حسهاجرو عدي زمن ولا يغير بحر تساقرو يريلي حمدي ونس بحري عطامنيو نتاريخ زرس تايكوينيو زي والعزق والسف كيو مسلو نعشا خيو مسلو إذا خزبس أمو تقولي زلو أمو قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري تاريمي أمو قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري نبينا نقول يا زرعة الله تتمال مكوحة زسقدة الله كي يمسلو مرحي وزخدة الله وقل الله تقلل الله أبغى الله مساء الله تتمال وحي زبحمك الله تتفعوا حرمز زسمما كيت المتا صلي مقيحو كيت المتا حاثير نويحو كيت المتون بقى خيري لي حمدي هو نهز بحري عطامنيو نتاريخ زرسف تايكوينيو بزيب العزق والسف كيو مسلو نعشا في مسلو إذا خزبس أما تقولي زلو همون قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري تاريمي همون قلبو نوا عدي بلالو سوقع كل دمي بحري نايبينا يزو حسن الله أبزاري منا تورارسه الله يتنوس كل زينا أسه الله وقل الله تقلل الله أبغى حساغرو عدا يزمت ولا يغير بحر تساغرو